Well, hello everyone. Debra Prinzing here. I've got a special bonus conversation to share with you today with Carla Daniels. Hi, Carla.
Hi, Deborah. How are you?
I'm great. I'm happy to see you. You're a fellow Northwest gardener and you're
Yeah.
based in Oregon. Carla, I don't remember your exact title. Is it Northwest Territory Sales Manager for Espoma, or why don't you say what your title is?
Yeah, I'm the Western Territory Manager, so I pretty much take care of all the stores on the West Coast.
All
So,
the
yeah,
stores, the retail garden centers.
retail garden centers on the West Coast. Yes, independents. Yeah, independent garden centers. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we were introduced by a fellow garden friend, Lamanda Joy of the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival and Great Grow Along. And I know you two have worked together quite a bit in the garden space. And when Lamanda knew that I was going to produce the Ultimate Cutting Garden plant sale with Slow Flowers and the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, she said, I don't think you should talk to Carla about getting Espoma involved. What appealed to me about working with you and about highlighting a Spoma product line is that I, we're always on the hunt for good organic amendments and fertilizers, and sometimes it's hard to know what is appropriate or not, either for a cutting garden or for a small scale flower farm. And I was really inspired by the huge selection of organic fertilizers that Espoma produces. So maybe you could talk a little bit about how did the company approach that, and who are you serving?
Yeah. So, the first things I like to talk about is that we've been doing it for 96 years.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. So our first product came about in 1929. Our second product not until 1949, which was Hollytone. So we were the first organic brand to bring out an acid-loving fertilizer for the market. Those to me are most important because you're not usually around for that long unless you're producing a great product,
Right.
that resonates with the consumer and that it works.
So
So
it's still family owned,
it
right?
is. We are
That's
still
important.
fourth generation family owned company. So there's some really great things. We say, great is a great product, and yes, people love it. But we do a lot of things that I think make me feel good. And our retailers as well. We're 100% solar powered. We've been a solar powered facility since 2010. So we
Jeez.
produce enough solar to fuel all of our offices and our manufacturing facilities. So anything you buy in a fertilizer wise in a bag or a bottle, it's all produced by solar.
That's
So yeah,
crazy.
pretty fun
That's
stuff.
amazing.
Yeah, you got to walk the walk. You
But
just
but
can't go out there.
but
So
kind of out ahead of everybody else.
yeah, for
That's
sure.
amazing. Yeah.
Yes. So our big ethos is to protect the, people, pets, planet, and to make sure we're leaving it better than we found it. So it's just all the things that drew me to Espoma to work for them and work with the dealers again to, put out a product that is a value product, but does exactly what they want in the landscape with proven results. So
Mm.
yeah.
Hmm. And also, what I find unique, and maybe we can put the website up on the screen and walk people through some of the selection, but there's
Sure.
not a single, like, one size fits all generic product. It's really tailored to, I want to say crop, but to the variety of plant family that you're trying to tend to in your garden.
Right. The way, again, we've looked at it and we've taken it to different agricultural schools and horticultural schools across the nation to help us develop certain different tones, as we call them. And if you're familiar with this line of products, so each one of them is tailored to those plant needs. I always say if you want your plant to be its best self, live its best life, then you're going to grab that tone in particular. Using organics. I tell people if you're going to use organics, great. If you can tailor it to your plant, great. We make an all-purpose for those people that just want to walk out with one bag. At the same time, if you're, you and I understand. I mean, we're dealing, you're dealing with cut flower garden, clients. So am I. I have many that are dahlia, just connoisseurs, or zinnias, or things like that, but also want the biggest, best tomato they can get before all their neighbors. So those are just things that we've gone, and our tomato tone has extra calcium, because as we know, in the Pacific Northwest with our acid soils, our tomatoes get blossom end rot and have other afflictions because of lack of calcium and it being locked up in the soil. So
Wow.
we
Yeah.
go in and tailor each one of those and say, okay, this is going to help you, not only grow great tomatoes, but it's going to help you with the things that afflict your tomatoes as well.
So Carla, the term tone just kind of historically has been used to tag on to the end of any of the categories of products. It's sort of like we're toning up our plants. Is that what
right.
it is?
Yeah, yes.
They're going to the gym.
Yes, and a funny story is we I do a lot of education, and then after we're done with our education, one of our other my cohort across the in Virginia, she came up like, we're getting our stores toned up, for
Oh,
spring.
perfect.
So it's kind of, we're able to use it, interchangeably, but yes, it's that's how we use it as well. So yeah.
Wow. Well, at the Ultimate Cutting Garden Plant Sale, which is Sunday, May 4th, in Seattle at the Seattle
Yes.
Wholesale Growers Market, and I have a link in our link tree bio so anyone can find that. We are having a lot of vendors who are bringing cutting garden goodies,
Right.
plants, but
Yeah.
also seeds and tubers and starts and corms. Um, but you're going to be there specifically with a product called a Biotone Starter Plus. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so um, let's let's talk about what that is, and maybe we can show it on the screen so people can see
Sure.
some of the
I'd love
features.
to. It's the product that's probably near and dear to most of our hearts here at Espoma, but also out in the garden sphere as well. I always say it's kind of got a culty following, and it's like magic in a bag. So it has like three facets to it. So it's a 433 all organic fertilizer, non-burning. You don't have to worry about overfeeding. But we go in, we put two types of mycorrhizal fungi in the bag. So those mycorrhizal fungi, if your people are out there and maybe they're familiar with it, it is a symbiotic fungi that has a symbiotic relationship with the roots of your plant. So
Wow,
it
yeah.
attaches to the roots of your plant and allows your plant to just get bigger, stronger, faster, in a way that it can take up more nutrients, it can take up more water, all those things. And then on top of it, we spray it with an elevated amount of uh, beneficial microbes.
Mm.
So those microbes then go in and help with things like drought tolerance and disease resistance, and they break down all the nutrients that are in the soil. So it's just like this three-legged stool that just does all these amazing things. So you bypass a lot of transplant shock, what people dealt with. You have your plant that's in its pot or cell that's been there and it's nice and cozy, and it goes into its new environment and it freaks out. So we
Mm.
want to kind of,
Yeah.
jump over that and make sure.
Ease the transition, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so that's what this does. So it'll feed for 30 days, but you're also getting the benefits of the mycorrhizal fungi, and then also the beneficial microbes.
Mm.
And it covers about 95% of all plant species out there. So once you grab a bag of this, you're pretty much guaranteed that it's going to cover any herbaceous plant, tree, shrubs, pines, any of the plant kingdom that's out there that's going to be able to benefit from this product.
I,
So
I put up the chart. So the first item under how much to use is flower beds. So
yeah,
mix 12 cups per 100 square feet into the top 4 inch to 6 inches of soil. And then
right.
you said that's a 30-day application?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we recommend that that the fertilizer lasts, it gives your first 30 days. And ultimately, the reason why we do that is because it's the recommended amount of microbes that you want to put down in your soil to really make a difference. So to start building your soil biome. And that's kind of a catchy phrase a lot of
Hmm.
people will start talking
What
about.
does that mean? Like
But
the
yeah,
atmosphere, the environment?
your soil health, you look at your soil like you would look at your stomach. There
Yeah.
has to be the right bacteria in there to work and break down everything. Well, our soil is the same exact way.
Mm.
So by putting fertilizer down in consistently, specifically, the Espoma tone products, you're going to be putting down the highest rate you can of those microbes to help you build a better soil system over
Mm.
time. You're just building your community. So then after the 30 days, then you can go in then and like feed with, if you're planting bare roses, you'd use this to plant. And then you'd go in and do your regular rose feeding with your rose tone on the maintenance side of things. So strategically, this just goes in the bottom of the planting hole, and then you'd follow up with the tone that's best suited for whatever you're gardening.
Yeah,
So
I was just
yeah,
scrolling through here to show people how many different options there are.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and this is under, I clicked over to single ingredients, but there's a rose product. Is that under garden
Yeah,
fertilizer?
yeah, garden fertilizers,
Okay.
correct. Yes.
Because this is the one I'm really interested in adding to my garden. Well, there's the biotone starter, but see all the categories and, the garden tone is more for edibles, the berry tone is for fruit, but the rose tone, I think is like so many cutting garden aficionados and even small scale flower farmers are really trying to grow old-fashioned garden roses for the cut flower market. So
Sure.
this would
Yeah.
be a great option for people. But after the plant is established, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so the biotone starter plus needs to go in the planting hole. And the reason being is the mycorrhizal fungi is affected by high heat and UV. So you want to make sure you put it where the roots are. So you get it as close as you can. You dig your hole, you mix it in, you plant right on top of it. And then 30 days later, then you can start your maintenance, which
Mm,
the rest of the tones then are your maintenance and
yeah,
how you get through the season.
I
So
love it. I love it. And so you're going to people who come to the plant sale will get to meet you and they can bring their proud challenges to you and let you troubleshoot.
of course.
Um, although when I was a master gardener, I used to work at the clinic and I used to hate it when people would bring it like a single leaf with a disease on it. And I would it was like called stump the idiot. Like I
Yeah.
never could figure that out. So bring gentle questions to
Yes,
Carla.
yeah, yeah, that's right. You never know. I have to get back in my garden center mode and dust knock the rust off.
Now that people can use the camera on their Google app and take a photo of a plant and identify it suddenly, the game has changed. So maybe it's
Oh,
not as
yeah.
hard.
Yeah, no.
Anything else you want me to click on while we're on the screen here?
I think the where to buy is a
Oh,
great button there. So, there is a place there that you can just put your zip code in. And
oops.
it'll bring up your area and your local garden centers that are next to you, and then you can find all kinds of
Yeah. Buy
great
local.
nurseries. Yes.
Here's I put my zip code in. Here's Huckleberry Gardens in
Yep.
Burien, next town over. Watson Greenhouse in Federal Way. I frequent that place a
Yes.
lot. And Kent Eastville Nursery. Oh yeah. I don't go down into that neighborhood much.
And then you find the little badges there, which are great. That kind of tells you that, volume wise, they kind of are, you're probably going to find your best
Mm,
selection of our products there. And it'll tell you if you'd like to look for soils, it'll tell you that as well. So,
that's great. Oh, I
yeah.
love that. And then the online is for people who maybe don't have an independent garden center
Right.
near them, right?
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of people that, live in a retail or independent nursery desert. I feel so bad for them because I
Yeah.
don't know what that's like living, in the Portland area. There's
You
so
don't know what
many,
that's like.
no.
Nurseries are everywhere in
Oh my
Oregon.
gosh,
Yeah.
yes, it's great. But we do have some options for, the people that want to get their hands on some Espoma products that
That's
don't have
cool.
a retailer near them. So yes, yeah.
Well, I have one kind of wrap-up question for you because you're kind of on the front lines. You're meeting gardeners, you're talking with staff and teams at independent garden centers, and you're just out in the community, really supporting the whole like let's grow it movement. And I'm just curious, like, what do you think the vibe is? Like, we had this sort of shift toward everybody wanting to grow vegetables during COVID, and home gardening was exploding. What is what is that? Has that sustained, or what have you witnessed in terms of, I don't know, just kind of interest and passion for growing either? I mean, I'm of course more interested in ornamentals, but growing food or flowers.
Um, we were all very happy when we found it. We weren't sure with COVID, like how many people are going to stay around. What's the percentage? What does that look
Because
like?
there was a spike, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because when you're locked in your house and you're staring at the window, you're like, oh, I'm here. I might as well garden, which we're always like, yes, it's therapy. We already knew that. So, so many people, took up gardening and really started, but we've really found that it's stayed pretty consistent.
That's great.
The edible gardening is still very, very popular. I think every year when they come out with different varieties of, let's say, like berries has
Mhm.
been booming the last, and so many new varieties of things that you can grow in pots, smaller varieties of, blueberries and raspberries and, blackberries and things like that. So, just the evolution of things that people can do on a small garden basis, I
Yeah,
think it's been great. And not just because I'm here today, but dahlias.
yeah.
I get, dahlias have exploded. It has been, we keep getting consistent questions like, listen, I've been doing this for years, and oh, I tried this, and with like either biotone or rose tone, flower tone kind of things. So that's been a big one. So that's also why I was so excited when our friend Lamanda brought this up, because there is a synergy here. There is, but I also think bringing us together and letting people know, there's some great options out there for the cut flower farmer.
I
So
think that's great. And I'm for sure that there's going to be two vendors who are large scale dahlia flower farmers who are bringing a lot of tubers. And this is the perfect time of year to start thinking about adding different varieties to your garden. And also, dahlias they are heavy feeders. And a lot of times, um, I forget that they need to be fertilized throughout the season. So I'm really excited to try a different approach this year and make sure I'm getting maximum production out of my plants. Um, my little backyard where I can have
yeah.
about a dozen dahlias.
Well, at least you can. Like, I am almost 100% shade. So I just covet, I look
Yeah.
at, I'm at the nursery and I see all these beautiful dahlias, and I'm like, well, what hosta am I going to buy this year?
Oh yeah. How many hellebores can you grow? Well,
Yeah.
you know what? That's true. You have to make friends with somebody with
Yeah.
a sunny front yard, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Just go visit them. It's
Oh
fine.
my gosh. Wow. Well, I'm excited to see you this weekend. We're going to post this on
Oh,
Saturday and make sure there's a link so people can check out the Espoma website and also come down and meet us at the plant sale from 10 to 2. Carla will be there. She'll have free samples for people who want to try the biotone starter, which is a really nice bonus. You were telling me it's like the perfect size for a container plant, right?
yeah, it's a 5 ounce little baggie, and
Little
it'll
dose.
do up to a 2 gallon plant.
Wow.
So you can split it up, use it in some 4 inch or trays, or on a couple tubers. So, but
Ooh.
at least
Ooh.
you'll see some biotone starter plus in action.
Oh, I
So
love it.
yeah, yeah.
Great. Okay, I'll see you soon. Thank you
All
so
right.
much for your
Thanks.
support.
Thanks, Deborah. Appreciate it.